Hello, my name is Jared Krebs. I'm pictured here with my wife Crystal and our dog Tasia. We're Emerald Directors, co-founders of Team DSI, and tonight's training features a very special guest. Leanne Jacobs is an executive one-star Diamond Director, a $1 million earner with USANA. She's an author, she's a holistic wealth expert. She's actually an author of several books. She's the author of a book called 30 Days to Wealth and a new book called Beautiful Money, which is just coming out. It's actually in a pre-launch right now. I first met Leanne at International Convention. Oh, probably seems like 10 years ago, maybe 8 to 10 years ago. She was speaking on stage, and she just inspired me so much to build my business in a holistic way, in a heart-centered way. And Leanne, I want to thank you for being on this webinar. I have so many team members who just love you, and I'm so glad that you took some time out of your busy schedule to sew into our team, even though we're not directly affiliated with you. We really appreciate that you took the time to be with us, and we're really excited to hear your story from where you came from and what your life is like now with your success with USANA.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for being open to having my 2-year-old do this webinar with me.
Of course.
Um,
Hello, Jack.
I have my little guy with me, and it's a pleasure. I'm super honored to be here. Um, it's been, I mean, it's such a fabulous vehicle and community and family and company. It's been a blessing in my life for sure. I guess maybe what I could do is sort of share originally what drew me to USANA, and then I can tell you a little bit about my now. I was actually introduced to USANA when I was about 23, 24 by a
Uh-huh.
fabulous trainer uh, whose name is Matt Craig. He's still in USANA. And he introduced me to the products because I was a competitive athlete. I didn't eat that great because I was so busy. I just sort of lived off unhealthy processed foods. I had a corporate career. I was working for Johnson and Johnson, and I was doing my MBA as well. So I was quite busy. And he
Wow.
knew that because I was in my 20s, I was sort of neglecting the inside of my body
Hmm.
and neglecting cellular well-being. And he had such a passion for USANA, and he had introduced me to the products and really got me thinking 10, 20 years ahead. He's like, you might not feel the effects of rusting your body from the inside out because you're 24, but if
Hmm.
you don't make some changes, you're aging at an accelerated rate. So I was instantly ready for whatever he suggested. And because I trusted him so much. And he put me on the essentials. Jackson, you have to be quiet, baby. He put me on the essentials and he put me on the reset. It was called something different at the time, but he put me on the reset and introduced me to some of the skin products. And I was hooked. I was a preferred customer on auto ship for years.
Really?
And yeah, I was just in love, but I really didn't know anything about network marketing. I didn't know about the business model. I didn't really understand it. I just knew that I could order online and get products delivered to my front door, which was kind of cool because it was quite new at the time. And I loved the products. And then about 4 years later, I found out a little bit more from my partner at the time about direct selling and network marketing. And I guess the timing was right because I was really burnt out.
Uh-huh.
I was really burnt out. And I was in my late 20s and I was open to learning a better way. And I was, it was just perfect timing because I realized I was chasing success. I was kind of addicted to ambition and I wasn't putting my health first. And so my partner at the time introduced me. He said, well, I have this part-time business. You can totally do it with your corporate job. And the company is called USANA. And I laughed because I was like, you're joking me. I've been on these products for years. And he said,
Uh-huh.
well, this is a fabulous vehicle. This is a fabulous vehicle to be able to create more freedom in your life. So I think a lot of it had to do with timing And I was so ready to learn a more holistic and harmonious path to creating healthy finances. So I would, and the funny part was, about a week after I enrolled, it was international convention. So I definitely went to that. And it was there that I really saw the big picture. And I met so many people who were golds and rubies and emeralds and diamonds and star diamonds that I felt were just like me. And I really gained my confidence. Even though I was a sharer, I talked to so many people who were doing amazing, and it kind of gave me the confidence that I could do it too. So that was definitely life changing for me because I feel, especially when you're a new associate, to be able to experience convention really solidifies your belief.
Yes.
And I committed to Diamond. I didn't even really know what that meant. Didn't know how to do a presentation. I didn't know how to explain anything, but I didn't care. I was like, I'm going to do it like Jim Rohn. I'm going to do it until I get it. I didn't put a timeline. Sometimes I hear this from new associates, like I'm giving it a year. I think that for me it was like I'm just gonna figure it out, and I'm committed until I get it. So I was obviously wanting to learn as quickly as possible, but I was open-minded enough to know that if there were some skills that I had to develop, that I was going to be patient enough with myself
Hmm.
until. So I committed to learn. I wanted to learn I needed to learn to become the person that has and can handle a diamond business. And that took me about 5 years to go diamond. But I will say, when I started, my presentations were terrible. I had a newspaper, but I didn't know. I over talked. So my first probably 20 presentations were like 2 hours long. I I didn't listen enough. I overtalked. I I forgot to connect. I was too focused on spilling all the facts. But even though my presentations were not good, people felt my commitment and my passion. And my first few associates will tell you, because they're still in USANA, that they didn't really understand what I was trying to explain to them, but they saw the vision that I was able to paint them a picture of what we were going to create together. And that is what had them committed. So even though they didn't understand, and that's why, like, you can't really give a bad presentation to the right person
Mm-hmm.
anyway. But what you do need is commitment yourself, because what I have found by coaching so many new associates is that if you're not 100% committed with your cells, not with your brain, but in your body, and you go to present to somebody, they're going to feel that limbo energy, and they're going to feel nervous to commit with you. But if you're fully in your body committed to success, people will follow you, and they will join you, and they will partner with you because they feel that grounding. So
That's really good. Okay.
when you're new, you may not be the best presenter, but you can kind of make up for that with more practice. So I aim to do about 4 to 5 presentations a week at the time, because I had a full-time job, and I did my presentations on my lunch hours, or my invites on my lunch hours, and then I would do my presentations on my weekends. That's how I juggled my corporate job and my USAN business. And then after about a year, I didn't replace my corporate income yet, but I was on my way. And I knew I hit that kind of balance point where it's like, if I put in more hours in USANA, I'm going to surpass my corporate income quite quickly. So I made that commitment to transition full time into my USANA business after about a year. And so that was when I was about, I guess, around 30. And I, I'm 41 now, so I've been in USANA ever since. And since that time, I mean, it, it does go really fast. So for those of you who are new, what I will say is your journey goes quickly. So just embrace the good days and the bad, because it's pretty amazing what you can create in a couple of years, and the people and the community you can create, and the USANA partnerships and friendships that you create. It's there's really no words. So for me, the income was definitely wanted, but I never put myself in a position where I was like desperately chasing, because I feel like in network marketing, people feel that energy. So I always was more focused on adding value and also on creating community. That was really a priority for me. And helping people like me, like teaching them how they could build a business even faster than I did, and not being afraid to have people in my downline do better than me. And that was never an issue for me. And I just want, it's about creating leaders, not creating followers for me. Um, to me, that's why I love John Maxwell's book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Because to me, true leadership is your downline thinks they do it themselves when you're gone, or when you're stepped away, or when you're on vacation. You create such leadership in others that they can function and excel without you. That's true leadership. And that's always been my philosophy in my USANA business. So I now have 4 kids, and I'm married, and we have a wonderful lifestyle, and we continue to mentor on a regular basis. And for people who are interested in creating USANA businesses, my husband and I mentor, and USANA is really a part of our day. It's our morning, our day begins and ends with USANA products for Rick and I, and also for all of our kids. So that it's just like, to me, it's like living in truth, right? From, if your core value is health and freedom and family, well, it's like, it fits so perfect. So it's like a harmonious business model. I don't know. I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. I'm just taking like tons of pages of notes right now. And so, Leanne, tell us a little bit about some of the biggest lessons you learned during your time, some of the biggest triumphs, maybe some of the biggest challenges you had to overcome. What's some of those things that maybe an associate right now who's in the middle of building their business, maybe on their way to silver or gold, would want to hear?
Well, I think a few things that I can share is the business is extremely easy. If you're inviting, yeah, maybe I should use the word simple instead of easy, but really, as long as you're inviting and presenting, you're going to be successful. So oftentimes with new associates, they may want coaching, or they may want to, learn some of the main tips. But oftentimes, if you just look at how many invites and presentations they're doing, you can easily realize that it's just about upping their numbers to get them successful. So that's really, I think we often overcomplicate it. We think we need to, learn more, but if we're not doing the basics, then we're not putting enough energy out in the world. It's as simple as that, to create the success. So what I found helpful is just to be committed to growing, putting more energy out there, and sharing the business with more people, or the products with more potential preferred customers, with my time. So if I had a couple hours a week for my USANA business, I would only spend that time on invites and presentations, and obviously coaching my new associates through their platinum run. That was important. So if we bring it back down to basics, it's easy to just kind of do a little calculation to say, am I doing enough presentations to have a business started? Most of the time, that's the only problem. It's that we haven't really started a business yet. We may be all ready and have all the tools, but one of the traps we can get into is being addicted to learning. Because if we're too busy learning, we're never in action, and we can never apply that knowledge into wisdom because we're not doing the action required. So it's very comfort zone to do personal development, especially if we don't have to apply it. So that can be a trap sometimes. So what I will do with associates is make sure they have a little phase where they're doing some learning, but they're always doing action at the same time. I want to make sure that my associates are never like spending a month just doing personal development or overdoing personal development and not doing action, because it's creating an issue. It's creating a problem because they will become more fearful to be in action as more time goes by. And then we have kind of a frozen business where there's no momentum. So to keep that momentum moving and churning and growing, we want to ensure that we kind of are self-reflective and looking at, okay, I just need to make sure I don't fall in the trap of comfort zone, because personal development is amazing, but it's only going to work if we take action on what we're learning. So I always made sure on a weekly basis I was doing a minimum of 4 presentations. And again, I had a full-time job at the time, but that kept me on my toes, and it also kept me learning, and it kept me out of my comfort zone a little bit, and it kept me really getting excited about my business. I didn't want to get complacent. So that's why I always put myself out there. Even as scary as it was in the beginning, I trusted the process. And then the other thing I learned was to trust that your downline, we're all leaders, right? So I had a tendency to overhelp my downline, which can cost them a lot of time. Because if you overhelp your downline, you're hindering their leadership and you're delaying their leadership development. It took me a long time. I knew that theoretically, but to shift that behavior I had of like the overhelping took me a long time. And I had to, it's because for some reason I didn't trust that if I stepped away a little bit, that they would be even more amazing because they had the space to lead. So it was really scary for me because I had this fear that if I gave them a bit of space, they wouldn't flourish. But the opposite is usually true. They create these umbilical cords to you, and then you create dependency. So with new associates, it's very important to be there, especially in their first 8 weeks during their platinum run. But make sure you're giving them the space to lead and that you're believing in them enough that they know all the answers. You're there as a support, but they also have one of the things that you can ask yourself, if you have an associate in your downline who's been in the business more than, let's say, 6 months, just make sure that you're checking in with yourself to say, is there any area where I'm maybe hindering their leadership, or I'm overhelping, or I'm managing instead of leading? And give them the space and remind them that they are so natural at leading and that they already know the answers. So if they call you with questions, I had a tendency to just I wanted to help them so much, I just answered it for them. But over time, I realized that I'm just creating followers if I do that. So I would start answering their question with a question. And most of the time, they already knew the answer. It's just a dependency was created because I was overhelping them. And I had to sort of backpedal to get out of that. That was really a big one for me. The more systemized you are, obviously, the better. You want to make sure, especially for associates who are very committed to earning a significant income with USANA, or they have a financial obligation that they really want to earn a certain amount. You want to make sure you're helping them by reminding them to focus on revenue generating activities. So inviting, presenting, and following up. The rest, learning the hub and reading up on everything and searching videos, that's wonderful. but it shouldn't be done in USANA time. It should be done sort of on the off hours or on, days of the week where they have. I gave myself some hours on the weekend to do non-revenue generating stuff. But during I had a corporate job, so during my 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day, I spent that time inviting and presenting because that's what was generating income for me. So that was really helpful if I was supporting others to make sure, because if for new associates, if you leave them too much on their own in the beginning, they'll spend all their time on the comfort things and they won't invite it sometimes, but in general, they'll avoid the out of the comfort zone activities. And when we're new, it tends to be inviting and presenting. So I hope that helps. Those were some.
Absolutely. And I have a follow-up question to that. These days, do you actually give like a newspaper presentation, or do you pre-screen with like a video presentation followed by a three-way call? Like, what's your strategy right now?
It's still kind of old school. I love the newspaper presentations. It is a little more challenging now because my network is becoming more global. So I'm definitely using video a lot more. But I got to 1 star using the newspaper.
Okay. Enough said. So
Again,
kind of a combination though at this point.
and now, I mean, I think it's more challenging to build a business to 1 star with just a newspaper, especially if you're building globally. With social media today, I didn't have social media wasn't big when I started. You couldn't do a presentation online, so I had to physically drive. But I love social media as well, so a nice balance. If they live within an hour, typically I will definitely send them a video beforehand, but I typically will try to meet them live if they're within an hour's drive.
Okay, got it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Leanne. I've taken so many great notes. Some of my highlights from learning from you. You said the more systemized you are, the better. Especially with associates who have big income goals, reminding them to focus on revenue generating activities. I can totally see that. Especially with everybody. Is that a lot of times the activity isn't there, and it's a lot of just learning and not enough activity, and myself included. It's like, man, I'm thinking, okay, I need to really refocus on activity, just as much as I am learning new things. And we're getting so many questions right now. I'm gonna go ahead and do some announcements, Leanne. And is it okay if we ask you these questions after these announcements? And Leanne, the first question we have is from a new associate, Lorena Galdiano. She just started her business last week, and she says, how did you deal with rejection of the product, and what was your plan of action for a second approach?
That's a really good one. So second approach, I'm assuming to the same person.
Yes.
So yeah, so I made the mistake when I started of emailing like 100 people I knew. And I did a mass email and I told them I was so excited that I started a USANA business. And if they were interested in more income or products, to contact me. And I got no response. And then I was like, what do I do? And then my upline was like, you didn't really do that. So uh, I was like, well, what do I do now? Because I just emailed like everybody I know. And so what I found was that you can always really go back. Sometimes when we're brand new, our first approach isn't always the most postured. Um, so I just made a commitment that I would never get in a position where I was trying to convince somebody, but I wanted to be in alignment with posture, that I really believed that the products were the best. So I made sure that if it was somebody who I really believed in and felt that there was great alignment with USANA, like I knew them well, and I was like, this person would be so great if they would just give me some time to go through. I would make sure I followed up with them. But I really made sure that I did it in a very authentic way where I wasn't driving them crazy. I would use a little bit of humor and I would also say, I am, one of the things my trainer said to me is to start with, this might not be for you, but I feel that spending some time so that I can just show you why I am passionate about it, you may know somebody. So, not that I recommend using that all the time, but if it was somebody who rejected me in the beginning, it takes the pressure off them that you're not going to be selling them, because I said it may not be for you, but you might know somebody. And it gives them permission to kind of not be nervous that you're going to try to push them into something. And I found they were willing to meet with me. So that really was helpful for me in the beginning. And then as I gained my own confidence, I stopped using the this may not be for you. But when I was brand new and I had sent out 100 messages and gotten nothing, I just wanted to have a great script that would open the doors to me having some presentations.
Awesome. So that script was something that your trainer kind of helped you to develop just for you type of thing?
Yeah, and again, I wouldn't use that with everybody, but for
Yes.
people that I rejected from, um, I would say 8 out of 10 times, because they felt comfortable that they were meeting with me because they might know somebody. And I really use that approach with people who rejected me in the beginning.
Okay. Lorena just texted me and said, tell her thank you.
My pleasure.
All right, we have another question from Executive Goal Director Viola Krebs in Salt Lake. She says, what video do you send your prospects?
So here are a few of my favorites. I really like Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. I'll send that to people who are in corporate. Any athlete, I send the USANA Olympic video. I also really love the newest USANA video that many of our leaders are in, that gives a really good overview of the business. I use that one. And let me think if there's any other ones that I really like. I use Jordan's quite often. His
Oh, Jordan's video, okay.
7 minute presentation. I like that because it gives somebody a great overview of USANA. And then I also like Kate Northrup's that she has. Those ones tend to be ones that there may be some newer ones that I don't know about, but those tend to be ones that I do like to use.
Are you talking about Jordan Kemper's 9-minute presentation?
But as a general one, I do like the newest ones from USANA Corporate, and I also like Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki.
Okay, great. Oh, that question was actually Randy Krebs. Viola's question, they both texted me. Oh, my mom says, Leanne, your leadership impresses me so much. You spoke on stage at Sweet Retreat, and I felt like you were speaking to me personally because you are such a pro at leadership. I overhelped my downline.
I think all of us women do.
Men too.
Yes, it's true.
All right. And then next question is, what is your system of training your new associates? This is
So
from Randy Krebs.
I keep it really simple, and that's why I love sort of the theme of tonight's webinar for you guys. Simple is always better. The more we add things, I feel the less money new associates make. So I keep it so basic. My main focus in the beginning is for them to make a check in their first week. So what I want to make sure that they do really well is they know how to enroll a preferred customer, and they know how to send an invite out. So within their ideally first week, our goal is to earn a check. So they can do that however they want. I'll help them obviously with a little script if they need, or we'll keep it simple by focusing on maybe 2 products that they feel comfortable with. So the My Smart Start is a really great one because new associate it's a really great one, and it tends to be one that new associates don't have trouble getting orders with. So we usually will start with my Smart Start, but I give them enough freedom to be able to kind of decide what products they want to work with. So our goal is a check-in the first week, and I want them to learn how to place a new associate, or sorry, place a new customer, and I also want them to get comfortable with inviting. So we'll also have a goal of sending out 4 invites. So some new associates don't need assistance with a script, but I will review it just to make sure it's clear, it's concise, and there's a call to action. And I also make sure it's not a page long. So, but I
You
do
give
like
them a script?
I like to see what I don't like to give them too much of a script, but I will give them a couple of options if they ask for it. The reason being is when they use my scripts, it's not their energy, and typically they won't have the same success. But I give them a guideline. So, for example, I keep it to maybe 3 sentences. I make sure that I offer, there's a call to action, a very clear call to action. And I make sure they don't, over give information on USANA and that there's no presentation going on in the invite. So I do have about 3 kind of template scripts that I will provide them with. But I do encourage them to edit it and make it their own.
Awesome. We have template scripts we also use, but I can definitely take that and take your advice and have them make it their own for sure.
Only because with online, like everything is energy now, right? With the internet. And you can feel when something's scripted
Yeah.
and it won't have the same effect. It doesn't mean they have to rewrite it, but just I always tell them make sure your own energy is in it. Whether it's, there has to be some authentic energy. Um, and they can use that same one, but I like them to put their own little energy in it.
Hmm. Awesome. And Leanne, tell us, like how many diamonds do you have in your business? Who are they? How many gold, rubies, emeralds? I'm just curious about your business.
Yeah, so currently, I have 3 diamonds in my business. Krista Rialba, who,
Yeah.
yeah, Krista Rialba. I also have Elisa Grazzi
Oh yeah.
and Anna Lozano, Anna and Yvonne Lozano.
Yes. Wow. Those are all amazing people.
And definitely we will have a few more diamonds this year, which is really amazing.
It's exciting. Are they in separate legs?
Elisa and Anna are in the same leg.
Okay. And Krista's
Um,
in a separate leg.
so
That's
one
so
of the, for me, I mean, I would say one of my skills is that I'm very focused. So when my trainer said to me, go get 2 gold directors in every leg, like it was like as soon as I heard that, I already visualized it. And I was like, as long as it takes me, that's what I'm doing. It just made it really easy for me. Like 2 gold directors in every leg. I'll figure out what that means and how to do it, but it made it really simple. And that was kind of like my big picture.
Oh, I love it. And do you teach them to build deep, like to build down 2 legs first and then kind of get them established and then go build inner legs? Is that how you do it or?
I built 4 across, which is not, I didn't know any different. In my mind, because I really am like a visual learner, I just kind of saw my business and I'm like, I got to fill the 4 spots. But I didn't have kids. I had no dependents. I had all the time in the world. And it's a big commitment to build that way. I would say 95% of my downline builds the outside legs, the silver.
Okay.
And that's what I recommend because most people have, they've got a lot on the go.
Hmm.
Easier to start getting duplication in 2 legs than it is in 4.
Totally, totally. I completely agree. In fact, that's something that echoes what I just learned from Simon Chan about 6 months ago. And since we've been building that way, we've built a lot of momentum in our business. So it's really cool to hear that from you too.
I mean, there may be, there may be an exception. Like I wouldn't be, we obviously it's simpler in the beginning for new associates to earn faster by building the outside legs. Um, but if you, I mean, I have a couple of associates in my downline that were completely up for the challenge of building 4 across and getting 4 teams going at the same time, but they were committed for life. Like these were people that even if I don't call them, they're going to go diamond. So it's a commitment. You kind of want to be on the lookout for maybe the outlier who chooses to build that way, because I do think that creates a solid business, but it must be with somebody who's like fully committed and is willing to put the energy in and the time in to get 4 teams duplicating at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. Last questions here. Um, what is in the invite what is in the invite that you have your new people send out? Could you just give us a little line of, I know that you don't give them a script or force it on them, but just I guess a general framework?
Sure, let me actually see if I can pull one up for you.
Awesome. And then the very last question is, who has been your most influential trainer?
Oh my goodness, so many, but okay, so I'm going to give you a script again. This is just a guideline.
Okay.
So this one was created. So for example, let's just pretend the prospect's name is Sarah.
Okay.
Okay, so hi Sarah, how are you? We haven't spoken in a while, but I've been following your posts on Facebook. I'm reaching out because I've always admired you and love your energy. I know you're interested and passionate about wellness, and I might have an opportunity for us to partner together. I'll obviously give you the details, but I wondered if you might be interested in fast tracking your wealth and partnering together. It would only require a few hours a week. My final sentence is, let me know if you might have a half hour this Wednesday or Thursday around 8.
Awesome. We have that recorded, so we will transcribe that.
Absolutely. What was the second part of your question?
The last question of the night is, who has been your most influential trainer?
Right. So, oh my goodness, so many. I've learned from so many people at USANA, like pretty much every Diamond Director who speaks at convention, I consider mentors. I learned a lot from Carmen Marshall.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not in her downline, but I gained so much wisdom from her. Really admire her. Also, I had a trainer not in USANA, but she's a network marketing trainer. Her name's Artemis Limpert. She has really been, she was life changing in my business. She has a CD program called Educating Your Expectations, which will fast track your business for sure. It's probably about 12 years or 13 years old now, but it's amazing. And it's the 6 CD program. And I listened to that like 10 times, and most of my leaders have listened to it at least 10 times. So
Interesting.
that one was a big one. Um, so I would say those would be my key. And then again, like I've learned a lot from Kieran Shimka. I learned a lot from Tony Dom. Learned a lot from Steve Hirschcheck and so many people in USANA. But I would say just going to convention and going to the regional events with a notebook was like fast tracking my career.
Awesome. And Artemis, what was the last name of that person? Artemis what?
Her website is paidmydues.net.
Oh, cool. www.paidmydues.net.
Yeah, and the program that I found really, really helpful was called Educating Your Expectations.
Got it. Wrote it down. Well, Leanne, thank you so much. Thanks for going 4 minutes over. We're all just at the edge of our chairs taking notes. We got so much value out of this time with you. Thank you so much for spending it with us and sewing into us and helping us succeed in our businesses. We're very grateful. We're also very excited about your new book, Beautiful Money. Is that coming out soon, like next week?
Comes out on Tuesday. I'm super excited. Yes.
Oh my gosh, awesome. Well, we're going to post it, team. You need to check out Leanne's new book, Beautiful Money. It's all about living holistically, harmoniously, and abundantly. And Leanne, you definitely do that, and it just comes through in your voice. It comes through in your energy and your generosity as well. So thanks again for spending your precious time with us. Definitely, we're going to take everything you told us and put it into action. We really appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. Thanks again for being on the webinar.
My pleasure, and thank you everyone for having me.